Is your vehicle stopping like it should? Does it squeal or grind when you brake? Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company. New taproom now open at Sass Drive and Cameron in Regina. Well, welcome to the 3 Down Greencast. Joel Gasson with John Fraser, and it is important to note that this is going to be a rather emotional start to the 3 Down Greencast, as we have a very important decision that John needs to make here. As we've learned recently in the XFL, with the home current of Sergio Castillo, John's current, or I guess former favorite CFLer, there is now another man after his heart.
I feel like I never thought I could say this, Joel, in my life. But I feel like I may be a contestant on the is it the Bachelorette that I don't know which one. What would I be, the Bachelor or on the Bachelorette?
If you're the man making the decision, then you are the Bachelor.
Okay. I never thought I would feel this way, but I feel this time tonight. Dramatic music, dramatic host, shot of not Caribbean beaches but football fields. I have to give away my last rose to one obscure XFL kicker. I don't know who it's going to be. On one hand, we have my lover from my days in Canada, who stormed into my heart as a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And my love of him has lasted more than my love of most things in life. And his name was so fun to say, and his love actually lasted me across not one, but 2 podcasts. That being Sergio. But today, I dug into the past of another football lover, another obscure kicker with a fun to say name. And actually, largely thanks to you, we now know his history. Ernesto.
Yes. Ernesto, and even his last name, Lacayo.
Like,
I assume that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. I didn't actually hear it on the broadcast on the weekend, but
doesn't matter.
It seems like that's how we're going to say
cool.
it.
It's super cool. We're going to say it, especially when this is the rose ceremony. So we know about Sergio. Anybody that's listened to this podcast knows about my undying love for Sergio Castillo. Joel, can you bring us up to speed as to why this is such a difficult decision for me, largely based on the past of my boy Ernesto?
Yes. So over the weekend in the XFL, the Seattle Dragons were playing, and their kicker rolled out for a field goal attempt. I believe he made the kick. It's not really important to the story because quality of player is not really important in John's love, especially when it comes to names. And I've immediately saw it. It was Ernesto Lacayo. So of course, naturally, I texted him about Ernesto. I think you might have you were busy with something, you didn't see it right away. Anyway.
Parenting or being sick after getting back from Mexico.
Yeah. Anyway, so just now before we decided to go to do this dumb opening, I decided, well, maybe I should actually look up to make sure that this guy, there's something cool here, that this guy, maybe that's how you actually pronounce his name or something. I don't know, something to make us look somewhat professional.
We were doing research, because that's what we do on this podcast.
Exactly. We do research 5 seconds before I'm about to hit record.
Booyah!
And what I uncovered, as this makes this even better, and could not have met our wildest dreams about Ernesto. Like, if you told me what I'm about to tell you about Ernesto's past in football, I would not believe you. And he may even become my favorite player. I've already sent the information to friend of the show, Dan Plaster. I'm sure he'll quite enjoy it as well. So,
you know what? I would be a Plaster's alley. You're right.
Just from his college days alone, forget everything else. So, Ernesto Lacayo, and this is from Wikipedia. You can look it up yourself if you think I'm making this up. Born May 5th, 1989. Not important. He's an American football kicker for the Seattle Dragons of the XFL. This is one of my favorite players. He played college football at Hastings College of the NAIA. That's like really low-level Division I football, which is amazing.
Real low.
The Riders signed a guy out of there this year. That's how amazing that is. So
it's right. That is some deep scouting. That is not a great league.
No. Where he holds all kicking records in Hastings College history. Good for him. Unsurprisingly, he went undrafted in the 2011 NFL Draft. And this is where you usually hear about undrafted free agents signing the NFL or the CFL or other various leagues. Not really here. Ernesto signed with the Nebraska Danger of the IFL.
That might be one of the best team names I've ever heard.
But wait, there's more.
I know, that's what I'm so excited for this.
After 1 year with the Danger, Ernesto then signed with the Louisiana Swashbucklers of the PIFL in 2013.
That's a thing.
After the Swashbucklers folded in 2013, Ernesto then signed with the Wichita Wild of the CPIFL in 2014. He set an all-arena indoor record of 30 field goals made in a season, including a 55-yarder against the Salida Bombers, which I'm guessing must come from like your own goal line in arena football.
They do, like, remember that stupid thing in the NHL skills competition? They probably put you on a platform out in like the stands and like you're surrounded by nachos and beer, or I guess it's arena football, surrounded by absolutely nobody, and you just take a go at it from the stands.
Maybe. So from there, he joined another team from Wichita, another league called the Wichita Force, who knew there were 2 indoor league teams in Wichita. For the 2015 season, we played 10 games before being called up to play for the Las Vegas Outlaws of the Arena Football League in 2015. Blah, 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 blah. 2016, he played for the Portland Steel of the AFL, and is now with, of course, the Seattle Dragons of the XFL. Yes, the most interesting thing about the whole thing is the Louisiana Swashbucklers.
Right? Like, I love the fact that he is with an XFL team, and that is, like,
the least weird thing about his entire football background is the fact that he is currently in the XFL.
Right? And has an awesome name. So I think, Joel, I'm going to give my XFL rose to Ernesto and the Seattle Dragons.
Yes. I think it's fair with Sergio. What you had was special in Canada. But as soon as he crossed that border, I mean, it was a whole new game. He had a head start, but I mean, this is hard to top, man.
Anybody that can put my swashbuckling heart in danger and drive me wild like Ernesto gets my rose. See what I did there? That might be the most creative thing I've ever effing done on this podcast.
I mean, it's not a high bar, but yeah.
Spectacularly low, but I effing nailed it.
Like just when I started to remember, because I remember when I started reading this portion of Ernesto's biography to you, and I mentioned the Nebraska Danger, and you lost your mind, and I was like, and as I'm reading ahead, before even I said it to you in my head, I was like, oh man, this gets even better.
oh yeah. And now the fun thing is of course, while you're telling me this, doing my own research, I'm Googling the Nebraska Danger. I was originally optimistic because I'm like we're finding, like, we found some old Swashbucklers game worn apparel on eBay, but they haven't existed since 2013, right? So I'm like, okay, the Nebraska Danger, they've got videos from 2019. That's awesome. And then I read that the Nebraska Danger are currently for sale and have folded. So here's an idea, Joel.
Are we buying the Nebraska Danger?
We are buying the Nebraska Danger. I'm going to put in a bed.
Do we need to start up a GoFundMe to buy the Nebraska Danger?
Yeah.
We Down Nation could own a football team.
We could. I would say, like, we could start up like one of those OnlyFans sites, but nobody wants to see me naked or in a thong. So, we might have to go the GoFundMe route.
Yeah, or I guess karaoke fundraisers, which apparently are a thing for you.
That's fair. 2 years in a row now, and I'm glad you transitioned into that. One last chance to tell everybody, come on out, Sutherland Hall, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, or tomorrow night, we're recording Thursday night, so if you're listening to this after...
You're a radio veteran, and you're recording stuff you know not to say today, tonight, and tomorrow. Say the day of the week, John. Come on.
This is why I'm not on radio anymore. So Friday, as in... The day after we're releasing this, if you're listening to this on Friday, you're shit out of luck if you're listening to it after Friday. Kinsman Hall, it's a Telemiracle fundraiser. Lots of really great media personalities coming on out there. It's going to be a great time. Last year, had a lot of fun. I performed Tequila, which...
And then you sang. But
because I can't sing and I'm talentless... I found a way around it. I just stood up there and did 3 shots of tequila and slowly, progressively, more aggressively shoulder dance. Now, this year, I am actually going to attempt to sing. What the hell's today? Tomorrow's hang on, no date on the count. The 21st. On the 21st, I'll be singing Friends in Low Places for my first performance. And my second performance, accompanied by a costume I have procured through my own apparel, AC/DC's Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for, Joel, is the crowd sings along to Friends in Low Places, because it's kind of one of those karaoke songs that everybody sings along to, and the beers are cheap, and everybody's all pissed up by the time you get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that my schoolboy rocker costume with my Guitar Hero guitar is enough to at least get some laughs and ignore the fact. And you know, like, if you're trying to sing like AC/DC, people are laughing, they're having a good time, it's going to be fine. So, but either way, great cause, tell a miracle. Ton of fun. I think this thing raised like 20 or 30 grand last year. Super affordable beers. Great thing to do on your Friday night. It's over by 11, so if you're those people that need to go into the club, you know, grinds all up on each other, or even if you're like me and you have to work Saturday, buckle up, Buttercup. Get yourself a little bit of Gatorade. It'll be fine. See you, Sutherland Hall, Saskatoon, Friday the 21st, 7-ish. And if you missed it, I have enough coworkers coming. I'm sure if you come down to Oakwood Nissan, they will gladly show you video.
Yeah, I didn't let you promote your business at the same time.
That's fair. You know what? I got the double promotion. It's out of my system now, and maybe we should promote the people that actually, you know, don't pay us money, but pay us in beer, which is even better. Our friends at Pile of Bones that do sponsor us. And
yes, so of course, on this episode of the Greencast, brought to you by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, we will eventually talk about the playoff format, because if you saw us online before recording this, I was kind of soliciting ideas, as I like to get a little bit of listener feedback every once in a while, just to see if people are actually listening to us a little bit. So we were looking for your ideas for the dumbest playoff ideas we can come up with. John and I have some for ourselves. They'll also appear on 3downnation.com as well at some point, as I wrote a piece that I think Dunk enjoyed. It just hasn't been posted yet. But of course, before we get to all that, John, what's in the glass this week?
Well, Joel, I'm going to peel back the curtain here a little bit. Since I got back from Mexico on Friday, I was not feeling that good. I did go out and buy I bought a 4-pack of Tall Boys, because I'm not going to lie. Mexican beer, very good. Modelo at the resort I was at, Modelo Especial, it was an amber that actually, you know what? The Modelo Especial kind of reminded me just a hint of Rebellion's amber, which was good. It was a nice change of pace while I was down in Mexico. But I would have stabbed somebody to have a Pile of Bones White IPA. So what did I do? I went and bought 4 Tall Boys the night I got back from Mexico.
I'm glad you didn't stab someone.
That's fair. I would be in Mexican prison, and you would not have well, Plaster's probably better than me or whatever. So I'm glad I also came back. So my plan was to save those till we recorded tonight.
That is way too long of a time for 4 beers for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You've seen me drink. 2 hours is way too long of a time for 4 beers for me some nights. So I'll talk about Modelo Especial. I'll talk about Modelo Dark. I'll talk about the Pile of Bones White IPA had. And I will not tell you what I'm drinking out of my fridge, because you would disown me as a friend and probably fire me as a co-host. But it's all I got. I haven't had time to go back out yet. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll let it slide this time, because it's the off season, and yeah,
it's all I had. I got. There's just Coors Banquet in my fridge. I'm sorry.
I saw that
all
when
that's
I was
left.
there. I didn't say anything.
I know. It's Lacey likes it. She's not into the craft beers like I am, so I'm drinking some of Lacey's beer, which is Coors Banquet. Which
is that why you're saying it quietly, so she doesn't hear you?
No, she's in bed already. I feel such amounts
shame?
of shame. I feel so much shame that like. I don't want to say it loud.
Fair enough.
I will
redeem us. I will redeem us.
You go.
So for me, as usual, I visited our friends at the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, and they hooked me up with the now returned, one of your favorites, the Cranberry Kettle Sour. So.
Oh yes, I got so hammered off of those at your wedding, which is impressive because they're only like 4% too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a little on the lighter scale. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still got hammered off them at your wedding.
I mean, you were mixing in the whites there too as well, which I purposely saved for the wedding day rather than bringing to the night before.
That is why you're the best, and you instructed the bartenders to hide them and tell them when the loud guy asked for them to give them. It was great.
Mm-hmm. So, no way to transition to that, really. We've seen recently that the CFL is apparently seriously looking at potentially changing their playoff format. For some long overdue, for some not. So what they're kind of looking at doing, and don't worry, we won't be serious for too long about this, don't worry. The CFL is essentially looking to adopt the format many have been crying for them to do for a long time, which is the top 2 seeds get a bye, and then we say screw divisions and play 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5, and then this is where the reality show, game show twist out of nowhere came, and Randy Ambrosie's been talking about, well, how about the top seeded team picks then the team they want to play? What? Okay. It's not unheard of. We've heard it discussed in other channels before, most recently Major League Baseball, in an attempt to get people to stop talking about cheating brought it up.
It's fair, or trash can banging, or steroids, or whatever else they're screwing up this week.
Yeah. And while I have my opinions on it, I'm not really, the 1 through 6 thing I get. That's, entirely fair. I think most people are kind of on board with that. I see pros and cons to the picking of the team you play. I think there's some fun to it, especially, say, should the first place team lose to the team they chose, that's always when it'll be fun. Otherwise, it's whatever.
Booyah.
So that's, and I feel like it's something that eventually it might get old and people just kind of get over it.
I think, though, okay, I am pro picking your team. I haven't been on social media a lot with the whole Mexican vacation and actually being busy at work for the first time since December. But I saw this firsthand. And the reason I like it so much is it, like, you know how as a game progresses, especially in today's day and age when players know each other and you don't really have that hate or that disrespect between two teams like you used to a lot back in the day. And it will grow through a game, or a season or something. It adds that little bit of spice. They picked us. F you. You think you can beat us. Let's go. It makes the game, and I'm not saying that somebody should go target the quarterback's head, but it brings something extra to the game. And the reason I relate to this is I've seen it firsthand. The Northeast Alberta Junior B Hockey League, otherwise known as the NEAJBHL,
which, by the way, never use an acronym when it is harder to say than the name of your league. Right?
Like, I had to rehearse to say that a couple times today. I was like, that was my podcast prep. NEAJBHL, NEAJBHL. That's how it was, like potato or, Unique New York. But a few years ago, working in Lloydminster at the time, new sports jockeying at 106.1 The GOAT. And that league had a pick your opponent playoff system. And the number 1 seed Lloydminster Bandits picked the number 6 seed Cold Lake Ice. There was 8 teams. So you'd think that Lloyd would pick the number 8 team and so on and so forth. No, they picked number 6. And right from the drop of the puck in that 7-game series, I had been to Lloyd and Cold Lake games before, and it was nothing there. It was like a junior B game, no real rivalry. But the intensity on the ice in that 4-game series, which, by the way, the 6-seeded Cold Lake Ice swept the number 1 seed Lloydminster Bandits. And it was a lot of fun. It added to it. It added to that, it gives the team that's been picked, nobody believes in us. And because only 2 teams will be selected, I don't think you'll see it as much in the other game, but there's intrigue to it. Who do you pick? Who matches up better? What do we know that, what do we perceive compared to what do the coaches perceive, and doing a televised special and maybe let's get some honest, we think we can beat them because of this. We think we match up well here. It gives you new storylines. It gives you different storylines other than the same old bullshit that we hear before every playoff series. Oh, they're good. Everybody's good. We're just going to go ahead. I love it. And I'm with you. I don't think it's something that the CFL could do long term.
I think ultimately it's been thrown out there as something to get pushed aside to get the rest of it through, basically.
And no, I would agree, but I think it's something you try it for 2-3 years, as Ambrosi has hinted. It's something new. It's something that hasn't been done before, and you and I are all about football being fun.
Oh, absolutely.
We spent all weekend, especially because, both my kids got sick after I got back from Mexico, so I think I watched every XFL game this weekend. And you and I were texting the entire weekend on how fun the XFL was. How open it was. Hearing the play calls and hearing the call in the replay booth. I'm all for things that because you and I, we've spent time around hockey culture. And hockey's head is so far up its own ass, as we've discussed in this podcast, that it's not fun anymore. But football can be fun. And I think this adds to that. It makes it fun. It makes it intriguing, makes it spicier. I want to see it. Gimmicky or not, I don't give a shit. The draft lottery's gimmicky. There's something in every sport that is gimmicky. One game playoffs in baseball are gimmicky. Just give me let me watch the teams pick and do it on a nationally televised night, and let's see it. I want to see it. I love it.
So if we're going to make the playoffs gimmicky and fun, let's go all in, right? enough of this pussyfooting around, all right?
That's right.
No, just pick your own team. Anyone can pick who they want to play.
No, we gotta get to some real good stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna start with something that it'll be a piece that may or may not eventually be on 3 Down Nation. It may be by the time you listen to this, it may not, because I've written the piece and I've kind of flushed out some ideas that I've decided to make the CFL playoffs even weird. And my number one option kind of starts with an idea that I saw. I was kind of thinking of it that I saw also from Calgary Stampeder fan on Twitter, Deb Roulet, suggesting, you know what, fuck it, let's just have a draft lottery. You basically have a lottery for the playoffs.
Right?
And I decided, and I thought about it a little bit. I'm like, if we're going to render the regular season meaningless with such things like picking the team you want to play and all that, then let's just have 8 of the 9 teams in the playoffs and bring them in national, kind of do like the draft lottery thing with the NHL and have the GM sitting there and, have them wondering where the ping pong ball is going to drop, who they're going to play. And the added benefit of having 8 of the 9 teams in the playoffs, that 9th team that misses the playoffs really feels shame as the only team that really sucks in the CFL this year. They get to wear some kind of hat or something for being so bad, and they have to sit in the corner at the playoff lottery.
I was just gonna say a dunce cap in the corner. You stole the words right out of my mouth. I love the playoff lottery idea. It's zany. And I like it. And see, the funny thing is you and I got talking into, different kind of playoff scenarios that we've seen and stuff like that. And I kept going back to a page playoff, how that's kind of goofy, but I'm like, I think a page playoff.
I think we'll get to the page playoff we'll get to that as an actual solution, perhaps at the end.
Exactly. That might be an actual solution. But what I like, and again, I draw this from my experience from covering a lot of obscure hockey. Okay. Mm-hmm. You should, literally, at levels of senior hockey, you can just challenge another team you can put a team together and challenge them. The year the Thunder Bay Bombers won an Allen Cup, which is the Canadian senior men's AAA title, they were just a bunch of dudes that mostly played with us while drinking beer on Saturday nights. They were like, hey, we're from Northern Ontario. We should challenge the Manitoba champion. So I would like it if, after the playoffs are set, a group of guys could just go find a stadium in Windsor. Be like, we're the Windsor Wichitas. And we challenge Hamilton. Boom, the Swashbucklers. And any team from any league could get on in there. Just like, you know what? Hey, Seattle Dragons, you're on in. You want to challenge somebody? Do it. And just challenge until there is no more challenge, like they used to do in the days of the influenza epidemics, in the days of gone by where you could just challenge for the Stanley Cup. Even after the Grey Cup's been awarded.
See, and
Saskatchewan Huskies want a challenge? Challenge accepted.
I included that in the piece, kind of a spin on that. I took the WWE model and created
Money in the Bank.
Created Money in the Bank for the CFL. Now, there's various different ways you could award it. You could award it based on, a team that's in first place at the midway point of the season. So you get, you can silence the people who say the CFL doesn't matter before Labor Day, nothing matters before Labor Day. Hey, if you're first before the CFL before Labor Day, you have an ironclad contract to, get a playoff spot or challenge for the Grey Cup after, or do something with it should your season go in the tank after the halfway point.
Now, see what would have to happen in that, though, is during the celebration, during the Grey Cup celebration, you'd have to have a representative from the team. A quarterback, a player, a coach, or whomever. I could just see Craig Dickinson running out with his bright red Money in the Bank suitcase and throwing it at Andrew Harris. Boom, off the head. Boom, game starts right now. Because that's how they do it in the WWE. You've got Money in the Bank. It starts right now.
Yeah, you could easily do that. And the other idea I had with that is kind of ties into an idea I had to radically change the playoff format altogether. Right. And you could decide the Money in the Bank in this same format. When I was at your place during the Saskatoon men's spiel, where we drank many beers between curling games.
Yes, mostly drank a lot of beers.
We mostly drank beers, yes. And won money for pizza.
That's right.
There was the one evening where we partaked and watched the NHL All-Star game.
We did, yes.
And it got me thinking. These days, they say millennials and kids have no attention spans. They can't watch a full sporting event.
Right.
Well, instead of a bunch of games over a few weeks to determine a championship, at least the division semifinals and the division final, what if we played them all in one day in a series of mini-games? Basically 4 quarters, 4 games, we're on to the Grey Cup.
Huh.
Teams in first and second would play in the third and fourth quarter, giving them a bit of an advantage, and there we go. Everyone plays in the same field, neutral site all day, 15-minute quarters. You think a one-game playoff is serious? Imagine your season's on the line in 15 minutes.
Extreme, and I like it. It's ridiculous, and I love it. I have another idea.
Okay.
I have another idea. We make them play a different sport for the last playoff spot. Think you're athletic? You know what? Hey, 6 and 7 seeds, guess what? You get to, and the sport is just drawn at random. Guess what? This week you get to curl against each other for the final playoff spot. Or you get
Suddenly
to play...
the Eskimos are in the front seat with Shaun White.
Fair. But also it could be you get to play pickleball. A team match of pickleball.
My God, is that Paul McCallum coming out of retirement?
Exactly. There, you think you're athletic? Guess what? The week before the playoffs begin, the Tuesday night before the playoffs begin, you're all out on a pickleball court someplace or in a curling rink as your teams cheer you on, playing a sport you've never played before in your life to determine your playoff lives.
And that kind of goes along, so we're going to go into a little bit of listener feedback here. I have some other ideas too that we'll get to, but your idea of deciding the final playoff spots inspired me to bring up our friend Mike on Facebook, who, and this makes me laugh, just the picture of it in my mind is incredible, because podcasting is a visual medium. The final playoff spot in the East and West are determined by a game of musical chairs between the team's 2 biggest offensive linemen.
I love it.
Because I put out the call for really dumb playoff proposals, and we got some stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not really quite getting it. And then, of course, you can always count on Mike Sweeney to come through in the clutch like that.
Mike Chris Jones Sweeney really did. We also had where the heck I'm pulling through. Also, some of the good stuff. By the way, I got to give also fellow karaoke contestant Clayton Croker, my boy Clayton from 96.3 Cruise FM here in the city. Didn't come up with an idea, but did give us the playoff tiebreaker from the classic movie Basketball, and
which I believe is kind of the same idea was going through Devin Haru's head during the final night of the round robin at the Scotties on Wednesday night.
Good old Shooter Haru. And another thing I liked, and this came from Mitch, who was replying to us. Same playoff format we already have. We're not changing anything with the playoff format, but randomly selected players from teams that didn't make the playoffs are the officials. And I simply replied, Josh Smith is going to love us for the wrestling references this week.
Oh, I mean, how can you not make wrestling references? It's a perfect tie-in for making something ridiculous and over the top, right?
Exactly. So I just sent a picture of Shane McMahon, guest referee. And, yeah, well liked by all. I I liked it. Another one.
That's a really great idea, actually. Can you imagine you just lost the West semifinal to the Calgary Stampeders, and now you're going to officiate them in the West final?
Imagine Simone Lawrence officiating Zach Caleros.
Imagine Duron Carter officiating anybody.
He'd just be stoned. It'd be a good time. If you could mic him up, that'd be all good. But...
Well, they're the officials. They have to be mic'd up.
Not to the level of the XFL, but no, I'm with you on that one. That would be good. We had some more good ideas. I'm looking through the Twitter feed here. I'm trying to multitask without hanging up on you, which of course is important to do. Little bit of I feel like we stand in solidarity now with our friends at the Piffles podcast.
Yes.
Who can boom it deepest in the end zone from the opponent's 45 contest in the playoffs from our good friend Saf, which of course, read between the lines. Rider podcast talking about a punting it into the end zone from the team's 45-yard line.
Said punts also remained between the lines.
But you just make sure they stay between the lines and they go in the end zone, and then all of a sudden you win the Grey Cup. So clearly, as we discussed, the Riders would be the clear favorite. I'm not naming names. I don't want.
We wouldn't want to enrage the supporters of said people who cannot handle any criticism towards their golden boy.
That's right. All around great guy. Great interview. Seems like a good dude. Kind of dude I'd like to have a drink a beer with. Needs to learn what the F a coffin corner is. Or how to execute it. Either way. I like that idea from Saf.
From same podcast, Greg also suggested two-man sack races, which I think would be hilarious. Especially if you like teamed together one of the team's massive offensive linemen with like the kick returner trying to run a two-man potato sack race.
or better idea. Mascot and lineman sack races. You get some big sacks. Can you imagine that? The playoff comes down to Gainer the Gopher and like Josiah St. John against like Patrick Newfield and Buzz and or Boomer or Captain Bomber, because the Bombers have way too many freaking mascots. But
they're not allowed to use the airplane though. That'd be cheating. That'd be cheating. That
was my plan. You put the sack. You put. Okay, so Captain Bomber. He's got his little plane. He kind of skirts around in because he's one of 3 Winnipeg mascots. When there's a touchdown. Well, yeah, and I guess then Calgary could use Quick Six, and yeah, no, you're right. Everything. Props are banned.
Cow. That would be the smartest one to use.
It's true. All the props are banned.
On the same level of thinking in the piece, I was thinking to determine the playoff seeding and ordering and who would play who. We just had a mascot Royal Rumble
with entrance music and everything. I suddenly have an idea.
Okay.
Okay.
Breaking news. John has idea.
Podcaster flag football game. Oh, no. There's not enough of us. Podcaster doubles curling. We could represent the Riders, and then
do whatever would be in best interest for the storyline rather than them.
Right, exactly. We can win or lose. We've shown our aptitude at doing both.
Especially losing.
Oh God, we're so good at losing. And all the while, announced WWE style by the neutral guys, the 2 and Out CFL podcast. Brazilian Thai, Trav Kura sitting there doing WWE style play-by-play. By God, he's throwing a draw. He has lost his broom. He threw it so hard.
No. That's not who's doing play-by-play.
Oh, okay.
You know who's doing play-by-play. Our friend from the Youth Olympic Curling.
Ah, yes. The greatest commentator in curling history. Unnamed British guy. Because someone has to win.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat. Literally. But don't sweat it. Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.